Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! I work for a law enforcement agency in a pretty wealthy area. The people can be a bit entitled, but not all. I have worked several jobs since I finished school, like dispatcher, records department, and finally moved into my current role, which is a hybrid of IT and equipment. I do all the testing and issue reports on non-tactical/ballistic items that we use. My biggest task is the vehicles themselves. Now, currently we are testing out back seats for the patrol cruisers. If you've ever seen one, they are generally just plastic and very uncomfortable. They aren't meant for comfort, but problems do arise due to how slippery they are. The primary goal is easy to clean up, and nearly impossible for someone to try and conceal an item in the crease of cushions on a normal car. So, a new vendor approached us with a new material that goes in the back. It's non-stick and has some cushioning underneath. So they install it on one vehicle, and I call up the officer who handles tactical/ballistic equipment purchases to schedule testing the vehicle out. Per our city's guidelines, we have to test it for a minimum of 12 hours, in addition to testing that the manufacturer has done. So I arranged with the officer to spend part of 2 days driving around, alternating with me, sitting in the back, handcuffed, and also him in the back, not handcuffed. I was simulating the role of a detained person in custody, while the officer would be playing the role of a witness who was being transported. Also, we would get in trouble legally if I cuffed him for the simulation. So, problem solved. The first day went by okay, but the complaint we both had was that it is a bit unrealistic to be sitting in the back of a car for more than 30 to 45 minutes, as it virtually never happens. Also, it is basically a yoga mat you're sitting on, but denser material, so not much padding. So, on the second day, I brought a pillow from home for my back, fused vertebrae. When we were just about finished with the second day, it was around lunch, and we decided to go get lunch. The officer parks in front of a restaurant and lets me out and uncuffs me. I said thank you, Gives. Can you please get the door and we'll be off? Unfortunately, an older woman, probably late 60s, heard this and thought I was ordering a cop around and treating him like a servant. She screamed at the top of her lungs that criminals like me do not get to order cops around, that I obviously must be a criminal. The officer tried to explain to her that I work with him and it was a joke. Nope, she is not buying that. Not even when I get out my ID and show her. Nope, she's convinced I'm a criminal. She calls 911 and demands that the chief come out and explain these shenanigans. Yeah, not happening. The watch commander comes out, explains it, and scolds me and the other officer for making jokes while in an official capacity. The woman is absolutely incredulous that we weren't going to be arrested and terminated on the spot. So of course she smacks the watch commander and demands he do his job. So yeah, someone got arrested that day. I used to work as a bouncer/doorman at a bar that charged a $2 cover on weekend nights. Everyone paid to get in with only one exception: party buses. We had an agreement with the different party bus operators that if they brought their groups to our bar, they would get in for free. Lively crowds are good for business. So one night I'm working and a guy comes in with his girlfriend and I tell him it's $2 a head. He grumbles about it and I give him the same line I tell anyone who complains. A $2 cover is the cheapest thing you will buy here tonight. If you can't afford it, you might want to go somewhere else. He doesn't want to look cheap in front of his lady. So of course, he pays. A couple minutes later he's back saying he just talked to some people who didn't have to pay. He wants to know why he got singled out. I tell him about the party bus rule and say those people must have come in on a bus. He motions towards some people sitting with his girlfriend and tells me, "You didn't charge my friends, and they didn't come on a bus." I recognized the people, and when they came in, I asked them if they were from the bus, and they had said yes. So they lied to me. It happens, and normally I wouldn't worry about it. I tell him, well, it sounds like I made a mistake. I guess it's their lucky night. That is my hint to him that he should let it go. That's not good enough for him. He gets louder and keeps demanding I refund his $4 to keep things fair. I've had it with him. I tell him, you're right. It is not fair. Let me fix it for you. He smirks because he thinks he's getting a refund, but he doesn't realize all I'm given is some sweet, malicious compliance. His smirk disappeared when I stepped away from the cash drawer and walked over to where his friends were sitting. In my most polite voice I said, hey, sorry to bother you guys, but there is a $2 cover tonight and your friend here told me that you didn't pay. I must have misheard you when I asked if you were with the party bus, but I need to collect the cover from you now. The looks of betrayal they gave him were priceless. I collected their covers, smiled, and loudly thanked him for being so honest. Then I walked back to my post and watched them proceed to rip him a new one. This happened some years ago. I'm in my 30s now, but back then I was 22 and my sister was 18 and was my mom's golden child. My dad thankfully has a good head on his shoulder and always called my sister out on her nonsense, but my mother's interference always meant my sister got off easy anyway. This is what happened back then. My parents decided to take a vacation to ski in Aspen and let my sister watch the house for them. They told her no parties, but that was a rule she straight up ignored. A day after our parents left, my sister started sending out invites to a party, and she was promising free alcohol. I did not see that post just yet, but my sister called me and asked me to go get alcohol for her party because I was over 21 and could legally buy it. She also wanted me to pay for it and said she'd invite me to the party and introduce me to an easy girl in order to pay me back. I told her that I wasn't going to break the law to make her happy. She should never have told people her party would have alcohol. She screamed at me over the phone that I was ruining her life and that she couldn't take back the invites now that they were all over her Facebook. I looked at her post and face-palmed. I told her that what she did was really stupid and she and her friends were all underage, so it's illegal. She tried to say it would only be illegal if I narked on them. I said I wouldn't narc, but I wasn't going to buy her booze either. She screamed at me some more, so I hung up the phone. Well, that night my sister had the party and someone called the police for underage drinking. After being arrested and confronted by police later on, my sister threw me under the bus and said that I had supplied the alcohol she was using. Turns out she actually broke into Dad's liquor cabinet and thought it would be better to frame me for her crime. Police came and arrested me at my apartment the day after the party. They seemed already convinced that I was guilty and didn't really listen to me when I said I was never there, but I willingly cooperated with them. At the station I told them the whole story and got them to look at my sister's Facebook post. Thankfully, there were a few people there who listened to me, but I still had to sit the nights out in a cell while my parents were called. My mom and dad flew back home overnight and bailed out both my sister and I, but my mom tried to make my dad leave in jail because my sister had told them her lies as well. But my dad took the time to talk to me and look at my sister's Facebook, so he believed me. This caused a fight between him and my mom. When they got home, my dad discovered my sister had broken into his liquor cabinet and spoke to police on my behalf. My mom, however, still wanted the blame to fall on me because, as she put it, the charges were ruining her baby's future. But my innocence was further proven by the fact that I and my car were seen on CCTV when I left work, and also when I arrived at home soon after, as the apartment I was living in then had CCTV cameras to watch the parking lot. My car did not move from there for the rest of the day and night. In my sister's story to the police, I had driven out and gotten the alcohol for her, but I wasn't seen on CCTV in any liquor store in the county, and my bank account showed no transactions buying alcohol. My parents' house also had a camera at the front door, and my car was never seen in a driveway that day. After being confronted with those facts, My sister's story changed to saying that I already had the alcohol and gave it to her at my apartment, but my sister's car had never showed up at my apartment either, and there were like 3 cheap beers in my apartment fridge and no hard alcohol. My sister finally had to give up on her lies, and my parents were severely disappointed in her. But my mom still tried to convince me to take the fall for my sister. She came to my apartment and actually demanded that I tell the police that it wasn't all my fault. I said I wasn't going to ruin my future for my sister. She refused to leave and went from demanding to begging. She even got on her knees and tried to convince me that she and my dad would make everything okay in the long run if I just took the blame for now. I said I would rather live my life poor than have that felony on my record. She threw a huge fit and started throwing things because I refused to do as she wanted. I threatened to call the police and she left my apartment, cussing me out like a mad woman. I've never heard so many F-bombs out of her before or since, but she kept them up all the way to her car and followed it up with saying that she should have aborted me before driving off. I called my dad right away and told him everything that happened. He was insanely pissed and got in a huge fight with my mom as soon as she got home. She didn't even deny anything she said or did, because she deemed it would have been for the greater good of their daughter. But my dad told her that she couldn't destroy me to save my sister. Then he threatened to divorce her if she didn't try to make things right. She ended up stopping and then saying she'd do whatever he wanted. My dad said that it was couples and family counseling or it was divorce. My mom signed a prenup before she married him and really had no choice. In the family counseling, I called her out on how she always believed my sister's lies. My sister tried to say they were not lies, but each one I pointed out from over the years said otherwise. I've taken the time to write a list of all the ones I could remember from the past decade that had all been proven she lied. And my mom and sister were forced to stay silent as I read them all. They tried to interject repeatedly, but my dad and the counselor silenced them. My sister, now proven beyond a doubt to be a liar and a manipulator, just shut down and refused to say anything more to the counselor. And my mom finally apologized to me. But it was obviously a forced apology because she looked so uncomfortable doing it. I told her that her apology was very fake. And after so many years of favoritism, the damage was already done. My relationship with her never really recovered because she was convinced I was guilty no matter what she said until my sister admitted the truth. And then she wanted me to pretend to be the guilty one anyway to protect her favorite child. But nothing went her way, so she just went back to crying about it. When my sister went to court, my mom pleaded with a judge to go easy on my sister for the charges of underage drinking and giving other underage people alcohol, as well as attempting to frame me for her crime. She also resisted arrest when the police came and shut down the party. She was very drunk when it happened. They kept her in a cell overnight to sober her up, and then she told the police I'd been the one to provide the alcohol. My mom's begging, along with a relentless lawyer my parents hired, got the judge to cut a deal, provided my sister plead guilty, which she did not want to do. But her lawyer highly recommended she take said deal to avoid jail time, because there was no other way of keeping her from getting a felony on her record. My sister's lawyer used the fact that the alcohol had not been bought that day, but rather had already been in the house long before the party happened to help lessen the charges. My sister's Facebook had also been completely deleted by her as soon as she was able to in order to hide the post. The judge just wanted the case over with, so my sister got off with a huge fine that our mom paid most of it out of her own pocket, and also a couple years probation. She was also made to get therapy too by our dad. She's never really shown actual remorse for what she did though, and only had animosity for me, no matter how in the wrong she was. She was eventually diagnosed as a narcissist after dad made her go see a doctor. After her probation and 4 years of college were over, she decided she was going to leave home for California and never come back once she landed a good job. She currently works in an office in LA, and we've not spoken in years. Dad got her that job, and she has not shown any real appreciation for it. Even mom has given up on her ever coming home for the holidays and us being a family again. It tore her up inside for a few years, but now she's just better. She doesn't really play me anymore, but we only seem to show indifference to each other. Just because my sister cut her off wouldn't make me the new de facto favorite. It just means my mom lost her baby and isn't getting her back. She can't leave my dad because she's too reliant on him, despite having her own career. She'd never want to be on her own again. So, she's just become a shell of her former self. Things between me and my dad are still great. He's pretty much disowned my sister for what she's done, and has stopped caring if she will ever talk to him again. He and my mom don't even sleep in the same bedroom anymore. She moved into the guest room some 5 years ago, and has stayed there since. Their marriage is really only one on paper these days. Some information. It is a felony or misdemeanor to provide alcohol to minors, and my sister provided stolen alcohol to at least a dozen people who were under 21. Then she resisted arrest and tried to frame me by lying to the police. The fact that she got off easy thanks to the shark-toothed lawyer my parents hired for my sister was incredibly lucky. Not that she was ever appreciative. The judge hit her with a fine for each person she gave alcohol to, which added up. And with the cost of the lawyer, well, my parents were out of a lot of money. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.